Hello, America, and welcome back to another episode of To Hear Me Tell It, the life and times of Jerry Daniels. When you've had your daily dose of today's craziness, dealing with all them Karens out there, ride shotgun with old JD as he goes back and recounts the life and times of growing up in the South during the 60s and 70s. I believe we were called baby boomers. Stories that you will say, yep, I done that, but I ain't gonna tell my kids, and I ain't never told my spouse. But whatever the truth be, it will be this, to hear me tell it.
Well, hello, folks. Welcome back to another late episode of To Hear Me Tell It. Man, I want to tell y'all something right now. I got my list here. I always have a list. You can't see my list, but I always have a list. And there's very little, well, there's only one part on here that's politics. But it's really difficult for me not to talk about something I'm passionate about, which is current events, especially in the political arena. That being said, let me begin by saying thank you. I really appreciate all the folks that listen. I'll ask y'all, like, subscribe, share. Maybe this thing will grow into something. If nothing else, like I said before, I've said this before, but maybe it's something, because this is all a matter of record. Some people keep a diary. My children, my grandchildren, I don't know. Maybe somebody will read it one day. I don't know. Maybe when I'm dead and gone, somebody will do a eulogy and they'll read all this, or they'll listen to all this stuff and they'll pick out some funny stuff and they'll share it with folks. Who knows? I don't know. You know what? It's a hobby. Chickens are a hobby. So, but thank you to the Bob Gherkins, the Mike LaFays. I don't know if Mike LaFay listens on a regular basis. Bob does. Mike Snyder, Joe Stitka, Christy Dunn, Mike Posey, and there's a list of others. I'm forgetting somebody. You know how it is. You start naming people, your ass is in trouble. So I'm in trouble already. Thanks those who do Our Reader as well down in Albany, Georgia. Thank you. Not first and foremost, but always, the chickens are doing great. I let them out this morning, let them get some liberty. So I opened the gate and let them go out and do some liberty. Fed them some dried mealworms, which they love. And then I coached them to go down in the bottom over there where all the trees have just recently been cut down and do their scratching and stuff down there. So they probably won't tear up Miss Flora's flower bed as bad as they normally do. So I got a yawn. I'm sorry. Oh, man. But the chickens are doing good. And yesterday, one of them had a bloody butt. I couldn't figure out which one it was. And you may say, well, how do you know that? I said, well, there was blood on the roost. So somebody had a bloody butt. You don't want one of your chickens to go egg bound, meaning they got an egg and they can't get it out. And it busts inside of them. That's bad. And usually it's fatal. But they're all fine. I checked all the booty holes. I couldn't find no booty hole had blood in it, or around it or whatever, and if you would have asked me, hell, if you'd have asked me 20 years ago, but if you'd have asked me 40 years ago, do you think that some point in your life, in your 60s, you'd be picking up yard birds and looking at their assholes? I would have said, first of all, why would you ask that? So here's what I would encourage you to do. Ask young people in their 20s, hey, do you ever think about 40 years you'd be picking up chickens looking at their ass? If they say no, they're probably right. But the odds are, especially if it's a woman, I don't know what it is about women. That doesn't apply to my case. But they say women get older and they sometimes just want to start keeping chickens. And that's a broad brush. I'm not saying because that's like, what do they call it? Chauvinistic statement. You just put all women in a category. And I don't do that. I don't do that at all. So I don't do it for men. I don't do it for women. I don't do it for races. I don't do it for sexes. I don't do it for ethnicities. Is that how you say it? National origin, political beliefs. Well, let me back up. I will say I do broad brush political beliefs because all liberals are idiots. So there. All right, I've said it. But anyway, chicken's doing fine. They're all laying. And after I do this today and get it all recorded and get it all published, man, I got to do something I hate to do, and I do it every 6 months. Now, I clean the coop on a regular basis, but every 6 months, I clean out the pen. And, brother, let me tell you, that's hours of labor, Jack. Hours of labor. You got to get in there. You got to get all that stuff. And, I mean, it's raking and shoveling and get all that crap out of there. It makes great compost. Great compost. So, but I got to get it all out and then put a new layer of bed in there and whatnot. Anyway, I'd rather get a root canal to do that, but I got to do it. Some may know, some may not know this, but I bought Miss Laura a new car. I shouldn't say I bought. We bought Miss Laura a new car. We did. And I hate. Yeah, yawning again. I shouldn't say hate. I really dislike buying a car. It's like, buying a mattress. Somebody explained to me the other day, and they go, I don't like buying mattresses. I go, I don't either. Or this person I spoke to said, I don't like buying mattresses, sofas, or cars. I said, I'm with you. I can't stand buying cars, mattresses, sofas, or recliners. I can't. I really dislike that. Furniture shopping, I guess, in general. Because they have salesmen, and they follow you around. They blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so I bought Miss Laura a car. Now, Laura trusts me a great deal, and it's kind of scary. But Laura always says this. She says, Jerry, you've always bought me the perfect car that I wanted, and that makes me feel good. I try to listen to her, and I'm attuned to what she likes and dislikes, and she's done so much for me, the family unit, and she deserves it. She deserves it. But she'd been driving a 2010 Toyota Venza, and I bought it used in 2005 with 45,000 miles on it. Give $22,000 for it. And she's had it 11 years, and she averaged about 7,800 miles a year, which is going to lead into my next topic of insurance. But that's what she averages, about 7,800 miles a year. And we bought this car. And about 3 years ago, she said, because she sees what I got, she goes, I want a backup camera. I'm like, well, okay. She goes, so I want a car with a backup camera. I said, well, I think it's cheaper to just buy a backup camera. So we went to Best Buy and we did that dance, and we bought her a really nice stereo, brand new stereo receiver. One of those kits, they make it with all the parts, and it plugs into where the other one was, and then they add the camera back there where the license plate is, and life was grand. But to operate Apple CarPlay, whatever they call it, Apple's CarPlay, you had to plug the phone into the USB receptacle, which I have to do on my truck, and this is 2021. So, man, I don't know what this is. Maybe I didn't sleep well. I told Laura this morning. She goes, how'd you sleep? I said, I slept fine. Maybe I didn't. So we get a new car. We had to go through the car shopping thing. But we sold her Venza, not prematurely. We sold it because a buddy of mine's son's wife was in a car wreck, and she totaled a car, and she needed a car. And he goes, Jerry, I'd like to. He was over at the house, him and his wife's picking up eggs. And he goes, and he knows me, and he knows my ethics and my values and my principles. He goes, that's that Venza you was telling me about? Because I used to work for him. I said, yeah, it sure is. He goes, boy, you like that car, don't you? I said, I love that car. Laura loves that car. Him and his wife are standing there, and they're looking at it, and he says, how many miles on it? I said, pfft. I said, hell, the car is damn 16 years old. I said, it ain't got but like 130,000 miles on it. He said, I bet you got all the maintenance records. I said, I got every maintenance record of anybody and everything that's ever been done to it. And he said, never been wrecked at it. I said, nope. He said, you won't sell it? I said, well, Laura's talking about wanting a new car. I said, yeah, I'll consider selling it. So he throwed a number out there, and I said, sold. It was gone just like that. So we went probably almost 3 weeks or a month without having two vehicles. And I'm going to come back to that part too about the insurance. So then we get out. It's like I gotta find her a new car. So we decided, because her mother's got one. Her mother has a 2023, I think it is, Toyota not Highlander, a Toyota RAV4 hybrid plug-in type. And Laura goes up there to see her mother about twice a year, and she drives that car, and she loves it. She goes, Jerry, I want a RAV4. I said, well, you used to have a Highlander years and years ago when they first came out. She goes, yeah, but I want a RAV4 like Mama. I said, okay, we'll get you one. So I set out looking for a RAV4. And I do all my studying, all my reading about the difference between gasoline RAV4, hybrid RAV4, auto charge, and hybrid RAV4 plug-ins. So I settled on the fact, just based on what I read, I'm going to get a hybrid, but I'll get the self-charge. You don't have to plug it in. So, and these batteries in these cars, I think the first hybrids were like the Toyota Prius, however you say it, Prius. And they came out with a 8-year, I think 100,000 mile warranty. Today they come with a 10-year, 150,000 mile warranty. And they're pretty reliable. And so anyway, that being said, the history was there. I said, okay, I'm comfortable buying a hybrid. And we set out and we go to, first of all, I try to buy it from somebody. And those are difficult cars to buy from people because people that own them don't sell them. They trade them, but they don't sell them. But I'm being, somewhat fictitious, not fictitious. I'm being, that's a very overarching broad brush statement again, but most folks don't sell them. How about that? So we've had good success with our Toyota place down in Canton, Georgia, and went there first. But I've been going there for 3 or 4 months, actually looking for the right car for Laura, because I didn't want to trade because I knew I'd lose my ass. So, but here's the dealerships, and they're Toyota dealerships: Canton, Georgia; Kennesaw; Marietta; Dalton, Georgia; Atlanta. Where else? And then online, Warner Robins, Macon, Columbus, and there's another one somewhere. I forget where it was. And then hitting some cats and dogs and some brokers here and there and yonder, and a lot of miles driving. Oh, Buford, Gainesville, and a lot of miles driving and whatnot. I'm gonna tell y'all what, there is a Toyota place called Beaver Toyota. The frickin' place is huge. I think it's in Gainesville or Buford, but it's over there. Frickin' place is huge, man. It's like a mall. Never been to a car dealership that has a salon, a nail salon, a hair salon, a barbershop, a restaurant, a bar. Did y'all hear me? A Toyota dealership that has a frickin' bar. Yep. And you can go there. It gives a whole new dimension to getting your oil changed to go there. Hell, you don't want to leave. They say, I talked to one of the guys that goes, hell, we got customers. We say your car's ready, and their car still sits out in the parking lot for 2 hours. Can't get folks to leave. I don't know if it's true or not. They told me they had over 350 employees that work at this one dealership. And the lady who owns it and built this place is called Miss Beaver. And she was actually crowned Miss Maryland many years ago. Big old tall blonde girl, good looking woman, but evidently she's on to something. And her little icon looks like the beaver in Buc-ee's. And if y'all do the reading, if you want to do something interesting, read the history of Buc-ee's gas stations and where that name come from, and how the beaver icon, logo, whatever, got attached to that restaurant from the feller that him and another guy, they own this business. They don't have shareholders. They don't have board members and all that shit. Them two fellers that started it, they're the two guys that still own it. That's the reason they can pay their employees so damn much, and that's the reason they're so successful. They don't have multiple people giving opinions and bottom line shit. But anyway, so we went to this one place over in Buford, Georgia. It was a broker, and go over there, and as soon as I pulled into the parking lot, I said, shit, we don't need to be here. Get out. The first thing you smell is auto paint. I said, this is a frickin' chop shop that's selling used cars that they've kind of put lipstick on and trying to, turn them. And that's exactly what it was. It's exactly what it was. That guy was so full of crap. And he had 2 RAV4s. And the one I wanted to look at was back in the back. He said they're still doing cosmetically reconditioning it. I said, cosmetically reconditioning. I said, what the hell does that mean? means a covering up shit. That's what it means. So anyway, he carries me out to the front to look at another RAV4. Open the door, and I didn't even sit in it. I stuck my head in there, and I thought, whoa. He goes, what does that mean? I said, that's a smoker car. No, I don't buy smoker cars. I said, dude, I'm 64 years old. That's a smoker car. I know cigarette smoke that's been tried to cover up. Just don't say anything after I'm finished talking. Just trust me on this. It's a smoker car. You know it. I know it. In the conversation. Well, don't you want to drive it? And by then I had walked around the front of the car to the passenger side, and he's still over there on the driver's side sniffing. What an idiot. Anyway, he says, don't you want to drive it? I said, well, that'd be hard to do today. He said, well, I got the keys. We can go test drive it. I said, nope. You got a flat tire. He said, oh, one of the tires is low? I said, no, Hoss. Flat. F-L-A-T. Flat. Like there ain't a damn drop of air in that tire. It's sitting on a damn wheel. He comes over there and goes, oh my gosh. I said, we're done. And we leave. Oh, wait. No, we don't. I don't. I cut that short because I'm looking at my clock over here and see how long I've been talking. That ain't the truth. We stayed. And then he goes, well, let me go in and see about the other one. I said, Laura goes, well, let's look at the other one. I said, all right, we'll do it. So we go look at the other one, and they're back there wet sanding, and, and I said, well, what's the Carfax looks like? He pulls it up. I said, son of a bitch. I said, it's been in damn 2 wrecks. Oh yeah, but one's a minor and one's a whatever, a major or moderate or whatever. I said, what? No. Well, look at it. They had done a good job covering up shit, and I could tell the whole front bumper had been replaced. I raised the hood. You can tell. You know how to do it. You can look and tell what's been replaced and what hadn't been replaced. I said, well, the whole damn front end looks like it's been replaced. I said, which means they probably been into the damn radiator and the condenser on the air conditioning system and yada, yada, yada. I said, no. And then I looked at it, repossessed. He said, well, it was a lease car. I said, it doesn't matter. It's still repossessed. Somebody couldn't hold the lease and they had to go get it. So we test drove this car. Now, the guy didn't even go with us. He put his son, I ain't going to say his name. He put his son in the car. Little old wormy looking dude. He got in the damn car and went riding with us. And Laura's in the back seat because that's where she wanted to sit. And the seatbelt alarm keeps going beep, beep, beep. And I'm telling Laura, I said, Laura, put your seatbelt on. She goes, it is on. She goes, well, let me swap sides. So she swapped sides, and now both of them are going off. I looked at the guy and I said, what the hell's wrong with the seatbelt alarms? I said, in the back seat, they're all going off. And anyway, she even plugged them in when nobody's sitting in them and they're still going off. I said, we're done. I turned around, went back, got out. He goes, well, let me go get my dad. I go, you don't need to. We'll see you later. Got in the truck and we left. So, and then that's when we drove over to the other place called Beaver Toyota and was there for, gosh, I don't know how long. And we did test drive a car. I think we did. Yeah, we did. We test drove one of their cars. Nice car. And I made them an offer. They made a counter offer. I said, nope. And we did not buy that car on a difference of $1,000. I said, sorry, I ain't doing it. And we left, which was a good thing. Good thing. So anyway, we ended up buying one in Warner Robins, Georgia, and Laura's a happy camper. So back to the car insurance thing. So when I called to cancel my insurance, when I sold the Venza, the woman at the insurance place, and we're a small town, so we know each other. She said, well, Jerry, I'll hold off on, because I can hold off for 30 days before I have to report it, and you'll get whatever the total refund is. Because we pay a year, we pay our whole year lump sum at the beginning of every year. Just here's the money, and I don't want to be talking to you next 12 months. Here's your money for a year's worth of insurance. Be done with it. And there's very few insurance companies that will do that. Very few. Because they want you to do 6 months. That way they can raise your premium in 6 months, which really pisses me off. So she says, so I'll hold off. Well, she holds off, but then I get a damn letter within 2 weeks saying, we got your cancellation and your refund is X amount of dollars. Oh, and here's the updated premium on your truck. So the fact that I had sold a car, my premium on my truck goes up by like $160 because we don't get the multiple car discount anymore. And I thought, what kind of crap is that? I'm not in insurance. I used to work for a commercial insurance company as a risk assessment, hazard risk analysis type guy. I'm going to tell you right now, I can say a lot of dirty words. I am so disgruntled and disenfranchised with insurance companies, whether it's life insurance, health insurance, home insurance, boat insurance, car insurance. Daddy used to say the biggest buildings downtowns are banks and insurance companies. Go figure it out. And law firms. So I thought, so I called him. I said, I'm really disappointed. First of all, you said you wasn't going to do this. You did it anyway. She goes, well, I guess they just noticed it because we plugged it in and blah, 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 but I didn't do something and somebody else did something else at corporate or whatever. And I'm like, whatever. It's all bullshit. I said, well, she goes, but I'll hold the refund because you're going to buy another car. I go, yeah. I said, but don't I said, you guys are, y'all splitting hairs. I've been with you for over 10 years and you're going to do this? This is where you treat your customers. Well, you sold one car and we're going to raise your truck insurance up by $160 something because you don't have the multiple car discount. I'm like, okay. Yeah, I can see where your loyalty lies and it ain't to me. So, that's the reason it's all business, right? It's all business. So we get the new car. I call them at the dealership in Warner Robins and told them we got the new car. And they said, okay, thank you for calling us. And I told them I'll come by and pay the difference. So I go by and see them like 2 or 3 days later, walk in there with my checkbook. I said, I'm here to pay the difference. I said, now, we had a few weeks that we didn't have insurance, so we got some credit for that, right? She goes, yeah. I go, okay, well, I want to apply that. But I said, what bottom line is, what I owe you difference? Because I sold a 2010, now I got a 2024. It was $331. I said, and you're not going to keep that increase on my truck? Oh, no. I said, all right, I'm going to hold you to that. But it's just, let me check it off my list here. I'm so disenfranchised with car insurance companies. You know what? And it's the damn liberal lawyers and liberal judges who cause all these problems. All right. I got 4 of the things on my list. I'm already at 22 minutes. I will say this. What's going on in Iraq is way overdue. And Trump's the only one who has the courage and God's providence of wisdom to intervene. What Trump is doing is not political. It's not to save his job. It's not to save the Congress. It's not to save Republicans. It's not to, make sure that they talk good about him when he's gone and all that shit. It ain't none about that. Trump has the wisdom to understand that if he does not stop I don't use the word radical, dedicated, faithful Islamic Shiites of this Muslim community, and if they don't get a nuclear weapon, we're done. And this all started because of Carter, and nobody else had the kahunas to nip this in the bud. And I'm really disappointed in France, Spain, and England. Y'all know why y'all ain't got the courage to stand up? Because you guys have let so many of these damn people come live in your country. You are scared. You're scared. You are afraid. So Trump did it, and Israel did it. So good on them. And I'm going to go back over here and do some talking about the people, the Iraqis. Now, I'm not a scholar. I'm in no position to lecture or preach or teach anybody anything about this culture because that's not my forte. But I will tell you that everything changed in Iraq in 1935. And it is my understanding it was in 1935, 34, 36, but around, let's just say 35, is when the country literally changed from from Persia to Iraq, and it was because of the people. But are the Iraqis Muslim? Yeah, but they're a different faction of Muslim, if you will. They were for a long time. And the Iraqi people, which I'll just call the Persians, there, actually about 75 to 85% of them, 75 to 80% are actually Kurdish. Just what they call Arabs, and the rest of them of Kurdish descent. So, but they're Muslims. But for the longest time, they were not the Shiite type. They were more of the Sunni type, but they were more westernized, if you will. Okay, they were not the hard line. A woman got to cover her face. If not, we'll take her out in the street and we'll stone her. And if you even look like, act like, or we told that you're a homosexual, we're just going to kill your ass. And we have a problem with eating pork. And if you eat pork, you're unclean. And if you eat pork, you're dirty. And nobody eats pork. But if you're a dude that wants to have sex, if you're a 50-year-old man and you want to marry and have sex with a 9-year-old little girl, it's okay. So that's all you need to know about Islam. So, but anyway, and then like the Saudis are Muslims. They practice Islam, but they don't practice that hard line crap. All right. So if you looked at we've had wars between Catholicism and Protestants and whatnot, and it's a shame. It's a shame. People kill each other because of the manner in which they worship their God. That's a shame. But don't be forcing me to do what I do. Don't be forcing me to do what you got to do or what you decided to do. Don't make me the bad guy because I don't do it. I don't make you the bad guy, but I will make you the bad guy when you become the bad guy. And you're the bad guy when you have a problem with my religion. I don't have a problem with yours. You keep it over there. That's fine. You do whatever you want to. If you don't want to eat pork and somehow or another you want to turn that into a law or turn it into some kind of a part of your religion, that's fine. But don't be telling me not to eat pork, okay? All right? And just like I'll tell a Christian, if you have a belief that you don't work on Sundays, that's fine. But don't tell me I don't work on Sundays. Don't tell me, all right? I understand what the Sabbath is, and I do keep it holy, okay? Just remember that. All right. Anyway, so the whole thing about Iraq, I'm 100% behind it. 100%. Is it going to be painful? Yep. Are we probably going to suffer some domestic terrorism? Yep. Sure are. But Trump is smart. He doesn't look at just today. He looks at way broad, way down line. Is gas prices going up? Damn right they are, and they're going to go up even more. But in the long run is the goal. So just keep that in mind. All right, so I'm not going to talk too much about the Saudis and the Muslims and all that crap, but Sharia law, or that's that law that those hardliners practice. And here's the bottom line of it is Islam is not compatible with any Western civilization. It's not. Why? Because it doesn't bend. It refuses to bend. And they can be damn right evil, barbaric, savage, evil. So, all right. Okay. So, all right. Got those two out of the way. Wasn't much on it. I could do probably 2 hours on that alone. Hey, here's a question. I'm already at 28 minutes. Here's a question. Have any of you ever suffered, and I looked this up, this is real. Have you ever suffered from an earworm? Mike Posey will appreciate this. I'm looking over there at my sliding glass door, and that damn red cardinal is shitting on my door ledge, and he's pecking at his reflection. Son of a bitch. I'm going to get him one day. I ain't never got him. He just makes a mess and pisses me off. I digress. So, have you ever had an earworm? And I'm going to venture to say that every one of y'all have had multiple earworms and you just didn't know it. You didn't know it. Got it on my list. Earworm. So at this point, you're probably thinking, well, Jerry, what the hell are you talking about? I'm talking about, have you ever heard a song and it was the last song you heard, and you can go 1, 2, 3, 4 days without ever hearing another song, if that's possible today, but the last song you heard keeps replaying in your mind? That's called an earworm, believe it or not. So I'm going to read to you. It says, the last song you heard sticks in your head. It is a phenomenon known as an earworm or involuntary music imagery. Due to a combination of recent exposure, it's called the recency effect, the brain's tendency is to crave the completion of familiar patterns, a high emotional or rhythmic situation. The brain often will loop these songs over and over because it was probably simple and repetitive, but it's seeking to end it. I'm going to tell y'all something. I laid in bed the other night and I had this earworm of this song, and it went on and on and on. I thought, man, I wish I could get this out of my head. I woke up and that's the first thing, the earworm woke up, and it's just playing over and over and over. And I thought, son of a gun, man. You ever eat blackberries? You end up with the seeds in your mouth. Yeah, I had a smoothie. I made a smoothie this morning. That was my breakfast. 2 of my fresh eggs from my girls, a scoop of whey protein, coconut milk, and fresh blackberries, raspberries, blueberries, and strawberries. Had all those. And then I blended it up in a smoothie and I drank it. That was my breakfast. So, and a fistful of vitamins, 2 tablespoons of avocado oil, and 2 tablespoons of Greek olive oil with a 0.7 acidity. Got to get good olive oil when you drink it. All right, back to the earworm. So I told Laura, I said, I can't get this damn song out of my head. I'm just going to have to listen to something else. So I put my earbuds in, found some song, listened to it a little bit, and then the earworm was gone. Just like that. But the song was... And when I'm in the garage, I have a radio that plays in my garage. It's a little old radio I bought in a estate sale for like $4. And I never turn it off. And it's on the jazz station out of Atlanta. Jazz. I think it's 97 or 99 or whatever it is. And when I'm in the shop putzing, I actually like to listen to jazz, believe it or not. Don't many people know that. The guy that came over and bought my car, he knows me. He says, he's standing there with his wife. He goes, "You listen to jazz?" I said, "Yes, as a matter of fact, I do. When I'm in the garage putzing and I'm thinking, trying to solve something or fix something, I listen to jazz music. I like it." He said, "Yeah, jazz music's the only music that 5 musicians can play 5 different songs with 5 different instruments and make a song out of it." I said, "You're onto something there, dude. You might be right." But I guess the last song I heard was Muskrat Love. And I thought, son of a bitch, I can't get that song out of my head. So anyway, I did a little looking here on the song Muskrat Love, and I looked this up. So let me lean back here. Muskrat Love was actually written by Willis Allen Ramsey. I don't know who Willis Allen Ramsey was, but it talks about a romantic liaison between 2 anthropomorphics. Anyway, pretend. How's that? Why can't they just wrote pretend? I know what that word means. It means pretend. They're make-believe. They're made up. But muskrats named Susie and Sam. And we hear that in the song, Susie and Sam. It was first recorded in 1972 by Ramsey for his sole album release. And it was originally titled, get this, y'all, the original song was not Muskrat Love. It was Muskrat Candlelight, 1972. And in 1973, it became the cover of a famous folk band, which I love, America. So America did it in 1973, and they retitled it. So America, originally it was Muskrat Candlelight. In 1972, a year later, America did it and retitled it Muskrat Love. I guess that's legal. They did it. And it made number 67 in the Billboard charts in 1973. But here's what we know it as. We know it. I got to yawn again. Man. So I'm sorry, y'all. That's the reason I'm not a professional podcast guy or YouTube guy. Professionals don't yawn. And if they do, they got professionals that can edit it out. That's just me. I'm a one-man show. But anyway, so in 76, it came out again. It was redone, kept the title Muskrat Love. But in 76, it was done, and it made number 4. And that's the one I'm familiar with. And none other than Captain and Tennille did it. And it was a hit in 76. So that song stuck in my head. And it became an earworm for days. And I got to thinking about that. And this happened, y'all, several weeks ago. So I was in the garage, and another song came on. And it became a damn earworm again. I thought, son of a bitch, I can't get this one out of my mind. So this song, y'all are familiar with it, and it was on the station. And they play more than just jazz. They play very old soft rock type, folk songs, I guess is a word. And y'all know this song because it came out in, where did it come out at? 1975, this song came out. And I was listening to it, and then it became an earworm, and then I had to listen to some other song to get the earworm out of my ear. And it was Loving You is all I ever want to do. Y'all know the song I'm talking. And the woman that sang it, she can hit an octal. I think it's called a 5-octal. I can't even begin to do it. Man, she's good. She's good. She was good. Meanwhile, her name was Minnie Julia Ripperton. Minnie Julia Ripperton, born in Chicago, died in Los Angeles. Y'all, and I'm going to put her picture. Let me do this right. I'm going to put her picture right there. So you can see her picture right here. There she is. No, you don't recognize her. I didn't recognize her. At least I didn't. But she was on the album cover. But she did that song, Loving You. And it was a hit. And it was romantic. Anybody back in the 70s who was growing up and thinking, man, that's a song you want to play when you're out parking with your gal and you're trying to make your moves. And there is absolutely, I'm going to digress here for a minute. I want to squirrel. There is no substitute, whether you're a male or a female, it doesn't matter. But when you're young, and I mean you're in your mid to late teens, your early 20s, you're young, you're not married yet, you're in love. There's a feeling, I can't even describe it, and it's passion. And there are times where and we all have it, whether you're a man or a woman, it doesn't matter. We have these. We don't speak about them much, but we have these, and they are phenomenal memories of that experience. And yes, some of them were in the backseat of a car. Some of them were on the hood of the car. Some of them were on a blanket laying in the woods. But it's raw passion, man. It's a shame we lose that when we get old, but it's raw passion. I'm going to catch crap for this. I know it. Anyway, this song was a good song for that. Loving You. All right, so the picture you saw up there, that was the lovely Miss Minnie Julia Ripperton. And y'all, unfortunately, she died a young woman. I think she was 31 years old when she died. And she died of breast cancer. She's one of the first people to ever publicly tell people she had breast cancer. And yep, she died, and she lived, and she worked to the end, and she sang to the end. She became a mother, and she and her husband, I think his name was Rudolph. What was that name? No, I'm sorry. Rudolph was his last name. If I go down to her private life, where is private life, personal life? She married a guy named Richard Rudolph. That's who it was. So she married Richard Rudolph, and I think he was a producer. He was a songwriter and a producer. And they had a little girl, and they named her Maya. and Mama Minnie died at age 31. It is sad, sad. And in the song "Loving You," if y'all listen to it after this podcast, go back and listen to it. There, toward the end of the song, when she's talking about, not talking. I'm sorry, she's just singing. But at the last part of the song, "Loving You," Maya, ya, Maya, Maya, Maya. Anyway, she's repeating her daughter's name, Maya, 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 and that's her daughter's name that she's actually repeating in the song. At the end of the song is her daughter's, as her first name, Maya. So that became an earworm. So here's what you also don't know. Here's what you also don't know. So what you also don't know, oh, wrong side. This is hard to do this when you look at the screen, because if it's on my left, it's on my right. So this picture, there she is. That's Maya. That's Maya Rudolph. And we recognize her from Saturday Night Live. We recognize her from some of her, she's hilarious. And I don't care about her political beliefs and all that crap, as long as they keep it to themselves. When they start wearing their political, when anybody who's famous, whether it's an athlete, a news broadcaster, anybody of any notoriety, actor, doesn't matter, musician, doesn't matter. Anything that's got anything to do with performing arts or athletics or whatever. When you start wearing your political ideals and your ideologies on your collar, that's all I see, and then I'll drop you like what's his name, Robert De Niro, and there's a list of them, Whoopi Goldberg, and I thought she was a pretty good actress again, until what's the other one's name? It's coming to me in a minute. Barbara Streisand, that's one of them. Anyway, so Minnie was the mother of Maya, believe it or not. So the picture you saw over there, I'll put it up again. There it is right there. So that was her mother, believe it or not. So we know her also because she was great in the movies. She was in the movie. Well, we know her because she was famous in Grown Ups and Grown Ups 2. She was in both the versions of Grown Ups, but she also was in the 50 First Dates or something like that, and she was one of the women on the beach when they had that little beach cookout. Maya was in that too. So anyway, I just thought that was interesting, and I'm already at 41 minutes, so I've talked too much and I've just rambled really. But anyway, so when you have an earworm, you can get it out by listening to another song that's not just simple and repetitive, and listen to another song that's not like that, and then let it in, and then your brain will not continuously replay it and process it trying to finish it. So there you have it. So all right, that's it. While doing this video, I've got a text message from my great friend Mike Posey, and y'all continue to pray for Mike. He's still recovering, man. So that's all I got. Y'all have a blessed day. Spring is in the air, but I don't think spring's here. I don't think it's here. I think we're going to have another cold snap. I think it's going to hit hard, but we'll see. And I appreciate y'all listening. Y'all like it, share it, subscribe. God is great, and y'all have an absolutely blessed, fabulous day. Mike Coker, wherever you be, it's time to go to work. Bicycle.